Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems serious, and that's the first kind of legitimate interview that we've really heard of. I know there's probably a list of 30 names between everybody who's kind of speculated and reported on it. I mean, it's a very long list. This is actually the first one that's kind of substantial in the fact that we know he was in the building and know that, he basically interviewed with Saban. And part of that could be just the delay and kind of waiting for the dead period recruiting-wise and, trying to do right by the coaches that way. But, it's kind of a name that people probably should have raised a little bit more, when this first came about, once we knew Bill O'Brien was leaving and everybody kind of made up their lists and talked about guys, and he kind of flew under the radar at that point. I don't think anybody was really talking about him 2 or 3 weeks ago, and maybe we should have, just looking at what Washington did last year. And, I think there's probably some level of, it was only 1 year that he was there, a small sample size, and he's also working under an offensive-oriented coach in Kalen DeBoer, who, how much credit each one receives for what they did offensively. It's hard to say. It's not like a situation where it's a defensive coach with an offensive mind who's really taking credit for everything that's happened on that side of the ball. So, but it does seem like he, given the Texas A&M interest, before they hired Petrino, that his name has been out there and people seem to respect him and think he's a guy that obviously Washington's paying a lot of money. So, and it's a style of offense too. I mean, they were first in the country in passing. I know there's people who kind of speculate, Alabama can go back to more of a very run-based offense, and, the Greg Roman name kind of comes up in that regard. But I still believe, given everything I've heard from Nick Saban the last 4 or 5 years, that he wants his offense to be oriented around the quarterback and the receivers in the passing game. So I think that's still the direction that things will go here.